Good morning, everyone. After a long summer break, we are ready to take on the Leadership Lounge again. We hope that you also have enjoyed your summer. So today we wanted to do something different. The past weeks, we've seen a lot of discussions and articles, both in social media and in papers, that are discussing the topic of quiet quitting. Now, if you are not familiar with that phrase, I wanted to read a definition for you that comes actually from the Harvard Business Review. And it says that it basically describes someone who does exactly what's required of them at work and signs off at the end of the day. That is someone who says, you pay me to do this, and so that is what I will do, nothing more. So we are not so sure what we think about quiet quitting ourselves. There is so much to be said about that, and there's so many angles and so many it depends to be said on this topic. So we are just going to explore this. We were just going to have a discussion around it. We're not coming with any advice, really. I don't know if you want to start, Tasneem, to say what you feel about the quiet quitting.
Yeah, I think I've been thinking quite a bit about what does it really mean about quiet quitting. And I think that there's a bit of a dichotomy. So yes, you don't want to be in a situation where you're working 10, 14, 15 hours a day. And there are industries who will demand that of you. So for example, if you're a lawyer, it's all about billables, right? So I get that extreme. And are you like, what are you paid for? But then they're paid like some crazy amounts. And then there's this other end. So, I mean, my background is in market research. And I remember in the younger days, there was, like working 12, 14 hours a day. But I think that's extreme too, because you're more likely putting in hours for the resources that the organization is, not recruiting. So what does that mean? And then I think there's a bit of a middle point where, from well-being perspective and having a life, see, we go to work because we want to find something passionate to do, we're interested in, and we can get paid for. That's an ideal situation for most people. But having this thinking that, it's 9 o'clock, I'm going to log in, and it's 5 o'clock, I'm going to log out, I think that mindset comes in the way of progression. So while I will never advocate for anybody working 10, 11 hours a day, I think that for most of it, if you can do your best for what is required in your working day, and then you go in above and beyond when it is required, there's a deadline coming up, something has, your system has crashed, and therefore you'll have to put in an all-nighter because it has to be done for whatever reason, then you do that. It shouldn't be the norm. It should never be the norm. And I think, and hence for quiet quitting, I'm just thinking that, what does it really mean when people are saying it? Is it those, the extreme cultures where you're required all the time to do that? Or is it just people are saying, right, you know what? I'm getting paid for 7 hours and that's it. And I just don't know if, in order to succeed in your career, sometimes you won't have to go that extra mile, show that you're willing to muck in when required. And therefore, I don't know if I agree with the very definition of quiet quitting.
Yeah, that definition was a bit funny because it didn't really explore the intent behind, this idea of just doing your 9 to 5 and not doing anything more. Like I was 17 years in funds management and investment banking and things. I've worked in Australia and London and Frankfurt and Edinburgh and things like that. And, that's the type of industry where you get paid quite nicely, but you are expected to go above and beyond. That's why they pay you so nicely. And you have the bonuses and things because you are expected to, work crazy hours. And if that doesn't sit right with you, there is an opportunity cost. If you want to try to go home at 5 every day, there is an opportunity cost of, not being promoted and kind of quietly being pushed out the door a little bit because everyone else is getting promoted and you're just kind of sitting there. And, you know, you might even be performance managed because the expectation is there that you will put in a lot of effort. But then again, I've worked at a bank here in Germany. So Germany is very, very protective of these types of boundaries, these work boundaries. And we had a 39-hour work week. And there were absolutely people in the company who did their 7 hours and 48 minutes a day, literally. They were literally clocking up on the dot. It was all tracked, it was all tracked. But they worked very efficiently and effectively in that time. They enjoyed their job. You know, they enjoyed being with their colleagues, but don't ask them to do anything after that time. And it was difficult for me to stomach because I had things I needed to get done. I needed their signature at 5:30 and they weren't there. It's like, oh, so it does put a lot of pressure on other colleagues as well. So I guess that's sort of my direct experience with this idea of the 9 to 5 boundaries.
Yeah, and also this what I'm thinking, and we have been discussing that as well, is are you motivated? I mean, for me, it goes a little bit against my nature to have that kind of mindset every day without, okay, if you need to go to the doctor or you need to do something a specific day, or of course you can check out early. But when you do that, you have probably checked out late many times before. And I'm just wondering what it does to people's motivation if they, first of all, have that mindset that I'm not going to do 1 minute more than what I'm paid for, because then you are not really engaged. So I'm wondering, where does your creativity go? Where does your feeling of being part of something bigger go? And so I'm just wondering if it's really fun to go to work and have that kind of mindset that I'm not going to do 1 minute more than what I am paid for. And then again, coming back to this, what are we actually paid for? Are we paid for the number of minutes that we sit on our chair, or are we paid for making a difference? Are we paid for the contribution we make and bringing the company, the team forward? And of course, like what you're saying as well, Alison, that if you are really disciplined and if you are really effective, and if that works for you within a number of hours and the exact 7:49 in Germany, then fine. But I don't think that most people are like that. I think that it depends on the day for many, that creativity and innovation and problem solving come a little bit like, depending on how, I'm not so sure that it's really making somebody, if you really want to make a career, if you really want to advance at your job, I do not think that quiet quitting is the game. But sure, if you just want to have a paycheck and you're fine with that, then I mean, go for it. You probably have a passion on the side.
These people were like that, you know, they're 7 hours and 38 minutes a day. You know, they were lifetimers in the bank. So, you know, they had a nice position, they'd been there for a very long time, and they weren't trying to get into the next promotion and things. So that's why it worked for them. Yeah.
And I think it's a tricky one, right? I mean, you don't want people to always, you know, work crazy hours and make up workloads for other people and all of that. But then it's also it's that if it's 5 o'clock and if it's 5:05 and if I need you, and if you're not available, it might work for those who get paid hourly. You know, because you're not getting paid, you know, it is minimum wage, or you know whatever that amount is. But yes, I don't want to know that people say in my team, I don't know, every single day they're accessible and having meetings after 5 and 6 o'clock. You don't even want that. But you know, it's a flexibility that, hey, if I need you for 10 minutes and my meeting's ending at 5 o'clock, are you available to have a quick chat? And then you can wrap up and, you know, just log off. And I think that in today's day and age, there's so much flexibility around, how Sophia, you mentioned that there are appointments, there are caring duties, there is, I don't know, lots of things that happen in life where you need that flexibility to take care of your life admin. And if you have that flexibility in the day to do that, then, either you have your 9 to 5 and there's no flexibility and you do your hours, or you take that flexibility, you take care of what needs to happen in your life and also do what needs to happen at work. And if obviously if there's a big imbalance, then I think the onus is on you to go and have that conversation with your manager, with the organization. And then if there is no change, then look for a change, right? Because then there's something in the culture that is not working, or then it's the industry or whatever that is. But to say that I'm going to be here and I'm only going to do the number of hours and not go above and beyond when it is required, I just don't know if we can really progress. I don't know.
You mentioned culture. Let's talk about culture, because on one hand, I'm afraid that a discussion like this could encourage a culture where you say, like, if you want to advance, if you want to be rewarded, then, you stay and you be available when I need your signature, and you don't check out early. Or
sorry, Sophia, just to be clear, we're not saying that.
No, exactly.
Not
we don't say that.
No.
We don't want to encourage a culture like that. But then also, I believe that the quiet quitting could come as a result as well of an organization, or maybe a culture only from a specific manager who is imposing, who is not giving flexibility, who is not showing that, there's a give and take. So then the employees can start to be really inflexible as well, saying, okay, you know what, I'm leaving because I need to set my boundaries. So quiet quitting is I think for many people, it might come from the fact that they feel that they need to be really, really strict with their boundaries, because otherwise it goes it goes too far from them, and they can't manage it from a health point of view.
Yeah, it's always this, just this one time, please do this, and boundaries are so incredibly important, and they're really hard if everyone else is doing one thing and you want to go home at 5 or 6 o'clock and everyone else is leaving at 9 o'clock. So I guess it's sort of asking yourself, where are these boundaries coming from? Is it, for mental health? Is it for my family? Is it for, to do good things for me? Or am I being passive aggressive and I'm not getting this 50-50 relationship out of my employer? So I'm going to do a go slow. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel accepted. I don't feel like a sense of belonging here. So why should I bother caring if they don't care about me? And, you sort of got to look behind the why to why you might be doing this quiet quitting. But at the same time, why, maybe if you're working really hard, why are you doing that? Are you scared of boundaries? Are you scared of the things that might happen if you try to say, okay, once a week I'm going home at 6 o'clock, boundaries are difficult things.
Next topic.
Listen, there's something there, what you just said, and a bit about, Sophia, what you said, give and get. I think it's about appreciation and recognition. It's a basic human need to be seen and appreciated for what you bring to the table. Yes. And I think that as long as there's a good balance of what you give, and if that is recognized and appreciated, then there's a healthy culture of, I see you, I know you've gone above and beyond, and I appreciate you for doing that, rather than taking the person for granted or taking the norm for granted, that this is the norm, this is what you need to do to succeed here. And I think that makes a huge, huge difference, right? I mean, I remember a time when it's working till like midnight, 1 a.m. was expected. There was no appreciation and no recognition. Then alternatively, I remember it was a crazy time of the month, and I was working till 2, 3 a.m., sleeping for 3 hours, getting up and going to work again. But then I know, like, I could see that recognition. I could see that appreciation, like, them doing things to Like, suddenly my manager came and said, I know Eid is coming up. I want you to take 2 days off, and it's not going to be part of your annual leave. Like, so that people see you. And I think it's something to do with that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a sense of belonging and recognition. Yeah, absolutely.
So I suppose I think that as you all can see, that we're not necessarily convinced by the definition, and yet we're not advocating for that extreme culture, which was very prevalent in the olden days. And hopefully it's changing even in those very old strict type of industries, such as the lawyers and the doctors of the world, and bankers for that matter too. So it's we would love to get your thoughts on what do you think. I mean, our viewers are of all generations. There are people who just entered the workforce. There are people like us who are like mid-career, and then there are people who've been there for like 20, 30 years and reaching their retirement stage, and would love to get your input and understanding of what do you think from your perspective on what do you want out of life. Does this 9 to 5 really work? And what does fucking in mean for you? And as always, if you have any questions, if anything resonates and you want to have a chat, please do reach out to any one of us, and we'd be happy to do that. Until next time, see you.
See you. Bye.